Hi, my name is Drew. I'm an architect with New Relic. Today I'm going to walk you through the integration with Pixie and New Relic One. I'm going to start in the New Relic One interface, and the first thing that you'll notice is a guided install to get up and running really quickly. I'll choose an account, choose Kubernetes, and then give this cluster a name that I'll be able to recognize and that it makes sense to me in my organization. Click Continue. There are some additional options that you can take, or you can choose to click Continue and take the defaults. Immediately, we'll create a Helm instruction set and choose to continue. I'll deploy that to my cluster, and almost immediately, data will start to flow to the New Relic One interface. And you'll be presented with the Kubernetes Cluster Explorer. It's designed to bring status really quickly to you and a lot of data, including entities, daemon sets, stateful sets, and pods. The integration includes a live debugging feature, which allows us to map and understand the cluster really quickly. We can see the services and the components that are talking to that particular service. You can also see nodal information and the namespaces that contain that information. And I can drive from that interface, I can drive into and see golden metrics around that particular service. I can see pod listings, I can see throughput, I can see who's talking to the service and what that P99 looks like. Without an agent, I'm able to understand slow requests. I'm able to understand both response status and the full response body, so I can drive into that and get additional detail. If I move to the top, I can also drop into the actual pod that is part of this particular service, and again see golden signals. I can see requests, errors, latency, throughput. But now I'm also seeing an understanding of the CPU containers list. And I'm also able to understand how fast it can read and write. And I have an understanding of the memory consumption also, and who's speaking to it, any metadata that's available. And at the bottom here, I can see a flame graph of that particular pod and how it is interacting within the kernel. Pixie comes with many different opportunities to investigate data. In this example, I'm looking at a DNS flow graph, and I can isolate and select and be real surgical about how I'm looking at my particular cluster. But at many organizations, you're only able to get to your particular namespace. So in this example, I'm driving into one particular namespace and dissecting that in different ways. As I move to or back to the Cluster Explorer, I can look for specific pods that Pixie has automatically provided telemetry for. I can see which deployment it belongs to, additional details around that particular pod. I'd be able to now drive into the details around that particular service. This application is providing me transactions, so I understand response time, throughput, and if I wanted to drive into the transactions driving this application, I could do that really easily. I can also drop into database calls. Here's the top 20 database calls in my demo, and I can go back to Pixie. It's a very seamless integration, and I can go back into Pixie and pull out additional details around that. In the summary view, I can look at related entities, and I can drop in and understand tagging information. I can see readiness over time, and I can also get back to, from the New Relic One interface, I can get right back to the flame graph that I showed you just a second ago. So really tight integration, almost seamless. Here I'm looking at a summary of details around that particular pod. There's other ways that you can interact with the Pixie integration. So if I go back to the Cluster Explorer, I can choose to spot latency issues within Pixie. So I can move from this interface to Pixie in one step. Here I'm looking at a DNS flow, and I'm having some sort of challenge with DNS inside the cluster. Really quickly be able to sort this up, sort this down, and look at a particular entity that is calling DNS quite a bit. And I can drop into and get additional details around those requests. The Pixie integration is almost seamless. We're really excited about it, and we look forward to you testing it out and giving us feedback. Thank you.